Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, we are alive from such a crazy, wonderful experience this weekend. We wanted to do a video just to thank every single person that was a part of the process. In this video, you're going to find all the details of the whole weekend. We're going to get into the details of Robert preparing for his fight, some of the obstacles that he faced, and we're just going to get into some really great topics. So tune on in, click on this video for more so you can go ahead and find out all the details for Robert's fight and his victory that he won on June 7th, Friday night, which was amazing. So let's go ahead and get into the details. The first thing I want to talk about was one of the greatest obstacles that Rob faced this time around when it came to cutting weight. Right, babe?
Right.
This time around, it was very challenging for him because Robert started cutting weight 2 months in advance for his fight. Well, one thing I wanted to say was it was extremely stressful for him because he was doing everything right. He was eating right, sleeping early, doing everything he had to do. But one problem he faced was his body kind of like locked. His body didn't want to go any further down than the 50s, so it was extremely stressful for him. I believe it was the weekend prior to the fight weekend. So the weekend before his fight, he started getting very down. His mind started getting into a dark place, and he just kept saying, babe, I don't think I'm going to make weight. I don't think I'm going to make weight. So he was in the room. He looked a little sad, a little depressed, and I literally went bone quickly and boo boo kitty on him. And I said, I went gangster on him. And I said, listen, look at me. I am not going to let you get depressed. I'm not going to let you get down. You're going to make weight. And I cursed him out. I said, get your ass up. We're going to go to the park. We're going to go do this. You're going to run up and down these hills, and you're going to do everything that you need to do. And I kept telling him, Robert, you need to listen to me. I used to work at a chiropractor where I learned so much about nutrition and so much about the body. And, I hate to say it, but I always end up being right. Right, honey? So that same day that he listened to me, he lost 6 pounds in one workout. 6 pounds. And I think, what was going on through your head when that happened? When you lost those 6 pounds in that workout, because it was so hard for you to get past that weight mark.
I mean, at first I'm like, why am I not getting down? Like, this should be simple for me, it's something I do all the time. So then, but I knew what it was. We both knew what it was. It's not the proper. I stopped eating protein. I stopped drinking water. So that stopped me from cutting lower than what I'm supposed to.
Correct.
So when I started listening to her, and I unblocked my mind from the negativity, I got back into schedule, and I started dropping the weight, which was a complete blessing, and it was weight off my shoulders.
And mind you, let's just go real quick into the details about what was going on in my head. I have a very, I work a full-time job where I deal with lots of major reports at work. I had a lot of reports that were due. I have a business on the side as well, with an amazing business partner, which is event planning, that I do also on the side. On the side of that, I also do crazy, funny YouTube videos. I'm a full-time mom, and balancing and, trying to be there for Rob and balancing his career and being pregnant, where I felt physically drained. It just all in that moment, it was a lot. And, handling all his paperwork, this time around, there was so much that needed to be done with medicals, MRIs. Oh my God, you name it. It was just so much back and forth. But thank God that we both remained in a positive spirit, because I knew that, the way my demeanor was going to affect him. So I made sure to just, anything that I was going through, anything that was going through my head, to just block it. And my main priority was to be there for him. So every weekend, up into that fight, maybe like 2 to 3 weeks prior to that, I dedicated literally the whole weekend to him, to making sure that he was cutting the weight, making sure that he had everything that he needed. And I was just being there in his corner, praying for him and making sure that he was mentally prepared for this fight, because it was such a great and huge opportunity. You know, so many people came to see him, and it was amazing. So we went into details when it came to cutting the weight. So let's talk about the overall experience with the weigh-ins. You know, how did you feel how did you feel overall when you landed in the casino? What was your experience about the casino, Star Boxing? Because I'm going to tell you mine.
Well, first of all, you know, it felt great to be back in New York. You know, it's my second home. To me, it's my first home, regardless. So it felt great to be back home in New York. You know, all my friends, family from New York were there. You know, it was just amazing. The Turning Stone Casino itself, it was just beautiful. It was amazing. You know, Joe DeGuardio, you know, the CEO of Star Boxing, for putting me on the card. And the biggest part is, it was Hall of Fame weekend.
Correct.
So that fight was in honor of the Hall of Fame weekends and the inductees. So it was a really, really big weekend and a big time for me. You know, it was a cherishable moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, man, I want to eat. Weigh-ins just take forever sometimes, you know, because they do paperwork and
licenses,
last minute medical checks, you know, physicals. You know, I got time for that. Let's go.
I remember when I touched down, I don't think I told you this, but I think I did. I probably did, because I talk a lot. So when I touched down Thursday night after you weighed in and you ate. So you were extremely happy.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's the Rob I like to see, when he's happy and fed. So when I touched down, my experience with the casino itself was amazing. Oh my goodness, the customer service. These people are like, they make you feel, first of all, they didn't know who I was. And they just made me feel like a celebrity. They were so amazing. So after I went to check in and get the room card, because Robert had a little appointment with the bathroom. So I went to go check in and get my room key. And one of the gentlemen, you know, because I guess they saw I was pregnant or something, you know, he helped me with my bags, and he walked me to the elevator, and he's like, "Oh, what are you here for?" And I said, "Oh, I'm here for the fight." And then he saw my Team Duran Jab Apparel sweater, which by the way is awesome. So he was like, "Oh, who are you rooting for?" I said, well, I have no choice. My boyfriend is fighting. They're like, "Oh yeah, who's your boyfriend?" Then he sees the sweater. He's like, "Oh, Duran?" I said, "Yes, that's my boyfriend." He's like, "Oh my God, so you're Mrs. Duran." Everybody kept calling me Mrs. Duran. It was so funny. And these people were so amazing. The guy was like, "You know, it's such an honor to have you guys here. You know, your boyfriend, you know, he's amazing. I got to meet him. You know, keep him focused, because everybody is asking him so many questions about his dad, and they're overwhelming him." You know, the amount of love that the people had there at the casino, you know, coming up to you, asking you for pictures, asking for autographs. It was just, like I told him, he went from a class Z celebrity to like a G. He upgraded just a tad bit. You know, he signed autographs, took pictures. So how does that feel, babe? Because, you know, the more you fight, the more you start getting noticed. Right. Does it feel weird to you that people come up to you and ask for your autograph and pictures and stuff?
No, I mean, the feeling to get noticed by people you don't know is a great feeling, you know. Mm-hmm. People know my father, they don't really know me, but as I progress, you know, in the sport, and people start knowing who I am without people, "Hey, look, that's so-and-so," you know, that's just a great feeling.
Oh, and let's not even get into on the airport, coming back home, with this man walking around with Team Duran sweater, and me as well, and he had the gloves. "Oh my God, are you Robert Duran Jr.? Oh my God." People on the plane were taking pictures with him, asking for autographs. One guy was like, "Wait, that's Roberto Duran's son." One lady was announcing to the whole plane, "Hey, we got Roberto Duran's son on the plane." It was the funniest thing ever. I said, "We're going to hire you to be his spokesperson." It was so funny and comical, but it was an overall great experience. So before we get into the best part of this video, which is the details of the fight, I just want to take a quick moment to thank every single person that is a part of Team Duran. to thank every single person that helped out in the process of the whole fight, into the fight details. So, you know, before we get into the fight details, let's talk about you, in the locker room. What was going on through your head? Were you nervous? What was going on?
No, I wasn't nervous. The only thing that, when I'm in the locker room, I like to warm up and warm up properly and prepare properly. You know what I'm saying? And that didn't happen this time around. I didn't get to warm up for the duration of time that I'm supposed to and that I'm comfortable with to walk out. But things happen.
Yeah, there was a lot going on with the glove situation.
Exactly.
Trying to get authority for him to wear his gloves. It was a lot going on.
Right.
But one thing I do want to say is regarding, before I left to go sit down and take my seat, this was my first time seeing Rob fight in person, because unfortunately before I didn't get a chance to go travel with him. But for me, it was such an honor and the experience. And while we're sitting in the locker room, he's getting wrapped up and he's worried about me. He's like, babe, sit down, relax, don't move too much. Just sit down, take a breather, He's worried about me and I'm worried about him. And it's just so funny. And I'm like, okay, let me sit down. Then after he got wrapped up and he put on his outfit, I said, babe, I'm going to go take my seat. Let's take a moment privately to talk. So I took him privately. And to be honest with you, my eyes are tearing up. Don't mind me. But to be honest with you, I've never felt more connected to you than I did at that moment, because that moment was so beautiful for me, because, we held hands, and the look that you had on your face, the way you were staring at me is like, man, I love this woman. I believe everything she's telling me. And I just had your full undivided attention, your focus. You didn't care about who was around. You were just concerned on me and what I was saying now, and I was just giving you words of affirmation. And I was just telling you, you got this. You're strong. You're a champion. You're going to go out there. You're going to dominate. This is your city. This is your hometown. People flew from everywhere to come see you. And it was so beautiful. And what touched me even more was the moment that we took out to pray. It was so beautiful. Even though Vinny interrupted, 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah, but he saw what we were doing.
Yeah, it was so funny. Vinny was like, how do you say? You know how when you're speaking to somebody, he would add on things. He's like, yeah. Like, Vinny, I'm trying to have a moment here. It was so funny, but it was very beautiful, that moment that we had, and I would cherish that. It was amazing. And special shout out to Mark Merrill. He's an amazing champion. He's a very famous wrestler who flew down. I don't even know where he came from. I don't know what state he lives in, but he flew all the way down and brought a group with him to see Robert fight, man. And, the words that he, shared with Robert.
Inspiration.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. And I was like, wow. First of all, I was starstruck because, I grew up with all boys. So I used to watch wrestling, as a kid all the time. Like, my brothers thought they were funny, and they would have the 2 older ones against me and my little brother, and they would just clothesline us all day. And I grew up watching Mark Merrill on TV. So seeing him in person, first of all, I told Rob, like, that man's face is flawless. Like
he hasn't aged.
Yeah, I'm like, fine, give me your doctor. I need to moisturize like you, And just seeing, him talking with Robert, and it was amazing. I'm telling you, it was a wonderful experience. So
yeah, he to add on real quick, I mean, he knew who my opponent was, Him and his coach from back in the day knew who my opponent was, and they saw my opponent coming up through the amateurs, so they knew this fight wasn't gonna be, no regular walk in the park for him or I. So for him congratulating me on this win and how I did against that kid, because he has a good amateur background, and my performance in the fight, it meant a lot to me coming from him. It really did. Really appreciative of that.
Correct. And that was my next point that I was going to get into. My last point to wrap this video up was in the ring. How did you feel? First of all, you look like a star. The way you are with everybody, that's one thing I love about you. You're so humble. You don't claim to be the baddest boxer out there, blah, blah. You don't claim, Robert's not like that. He's very humble.
Because I know where I come from, and I can never forget that and think I'm superior or above anybody else.
Correct.
Which nobody should be thinking like that.
Correct.
There's only one man above us, and that's, Yahweh, God.
Correct. And just seeing, you coming out and showing the crowd love, everybody that was there and, walking up to there. So let's how do you say, relive that moment. So what was going through your head as you were approaching the ring?
First of all, just coming out to my theme song.
Which, by the way, that song is amazing. It's a song that Robert made and my brother produced it.
It's called Legacy.
It's singing on it. Check that song out. Unfortunately, it didn't sound good on TV because I guess when they got the song and they had to download it to an MP3 version, so it lost complete quality. But check that song out. That song is very inspirational. And it talks about legacy and it talks about Rob and what he went through. So I think it was the perfect song to walk out to.
Coming out and then just hearing people calling, screaming my name, like they did to my dad, and seeing my friends and my family on the sideline, people I didn't know cheering me on. That right there was a confident booster all the way up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I felt bad for the kid because when he came out, there was like nobody, really showing him love.
That's what happened to me my second fight.
Your second fight?
I was all the way in Texas. I didn't know anybody. So
yeah. There was nobody showing him love, but when you came out, it was like, yeah. And it was pretty loud. A lot of people, were happy to see you. There was one guy behind me when I was recording that he was like, yeah, Boogeyman, you go out there and kick butt. I looked back and I said, if you don't get your, I almost went hood real quick, because I went to New York for 5 minutes. I turned hood real quick. I was like, yo, Boogeyman about to get knocked out, so back off. It was so funny. So, continuing the story, then as you walked up the steps, was your heart beating faster and faster?
I mean, this is what I live to do. This is what I was born to do. I was born to fight. It's what it is. When I got in that ring, that's my home. I'm in that ring. I can fight. And that's what it is. But to get to the point is that my opponent, he was no walk in the park. I knew what it was. I knew already how he was gonna fight. So I trained my mind for that, and I trained for that. My sparring partners, I picked them out specifically for him.
Okay.
So
So what was I gonna say? It's very funny because I was there in person and we just saw the video on like basically TV and the phone.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because through the phone, when he's throwing the shots, it looks like he landed, but he didn't land none of the shots. I think he only hit you twice.
Like 3 times.
Or 3 times. Yeah. But he wasn't landing any shots. And I must say your defense was on point. But I always tell people that because I always go to the gym. I see you spar, to check on you. And I always tell people, let me tell you something. Rob made it, people may have their doubts on Rob, but let me tell you something. His defense is on point. That boy was dodging no thing. He was not doing this. I think you know what it was? I think he was trying to be like me and my brother when we be doing this. When we do those dance moves. So he was trying to do it in the ring, trying to dodge, duck, all those things. Was that what it was? The spirit of Alexi and Jasenia took over?
I know it's just naturally. I just defend.
But what's so funny is when I went to go find your friends, I saw them and they, oh my gosh, they were like, yo, we've seen Robert fight since we were kids in the hood. And all we've seen him do was knock dudes out. They're like, that's what he does. And let me tell you something. I've seen you knock people out. And Rob is very strong. He has power. And that kid knew that because that's what he was telling you in the ring. He was saying, oh, I heard about your power. I heard that you hit hard. And, fortunately, the kid doesn't have knockout power. Rob does. And that's why he was moving so much. He was moving so much because he knew if Rob would have got him, boom, he was done. I've seen Rob knock dudes out that weigh over 200 pounds. And Rob's not that tall.
I mean,
but he has that power.
It got a little frustrating. I ain't gonna lie.
And a lot of people said that, and they could see it in your face.
I knew it. I expected that. He was moving around a lot, left and right, in and out, little pop shots here and there. You know, I knew I'm not gonna expect that kid to stand in front of me. You know,
Of
so I
course,
knew
who
what it
would?
was. But it was getting aggravating. It was getting a little stressful because I just want to, you know, tag him up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hit him up how I wanted to. So
Correct.
it delayed, you know, it delayed the fight.
Everyone said if you guys would have went 2 more rounds,
for
you would have
sure.
knocked him out for sure.
Because when I was connecting with him, he was feeling those right hands. Even with the jab, when I connect with the jab, he would feel the jabs because he was bleeding from the lip off of the jabs, you know, so he knew what it was, you know.
And it was so funny because I that was my first time seeing you fight live in person. And it was probably gonna be my last time for a while because, you know, my anxiety was on another level. I literally kept walking further and further and further back. Then I hid behind your friends that were like 6 feet, and I just was praying because I was so nervous. Oh my God, I don't know how these girls do it. I can't do that. I was so nervous. I was like, Lord, I was speaking in tongues and everything. I was praying. I was like, Lord, I started doing my church dance and everything. But I was so nervous and I was just praying. I was like, God, please, please, you know, let him win. And you know what's funny? Before Rob ever fights, not only do I pray for him, but I pray for his opponent as well. Because I always pray that they both leave the ring, safely, not hurt too much. Because some people are just like savage and they'll, send people, in a stretcher. And that's the game of the sport. But, I guess I have such a good heart that I always pray for, both of them, to just not have any trauma. We heard that Judah, we don't know what happened.
I guess he got a bleed. He bled inside his brain or something.
Yeah, something happened. And imagine, this guy's a 6-time world champion. And unfortunately, everybody's saying prayers up for him and we still don't know what's going on. But he didn't leave the ring safely and I felt so bad.
He caught a concussion on his way out. Something like that.
Okay, he caught a concussion. And I felt bad because I'm like, man, this sport is no joke. And a lot of people, they don't understand the amount of training, the amount of sacrifice, dedication and everything that goes, behind, the training camp and everything. And boxing is not for everybody. It's definitely not for me,
I know if one thing I could have did to change up that fight is I should have thrown a lot of more punches, I should have been more active.
Yeah.
But because I knew that my opponent, was gonna be a little moving on the defensive side, he was gonna want me to come in and counter me. I knew all that, so that prohibited me a little bit from being the brawler that people want me to be.
Well, the funny thing is, you have videos of your fights. You have videos of your sparring sessions sometimes and your training sessions on your page. This kid didn't have anything.
Right.
He didn't have anything. The only thing we knew is that he had a good amateur background, right? Where he fought for the elites,
In the elites.
Yeah. So that's all we knew. We didn't know how this kid fought. We didn't know his fighting style. We didn't know everything. So I think a lot of people can talk smack. Oh, you could have did this, you could have did that, you could have did this, you could have did that. But let me tell you something. When you're in that moment live,
all that goes out the window.
All of that goes out the window because you're just trying to stay focused and make sure, that you don't lose. And I think that was your main focus, making sure that you don't lose, whether it's by knockout or points. You just wanted to make sure you took that win.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I personally think you did a great job. I was there live in person. Your defense was on point, 100. And, and you said that this kid was one of the...
Yeah, out of all 3 of my fights, he was the best fighter I've fought so far.
He was one of the best fighters. And let me tell you something. Your first fight, that guy had an amazing amateur background. Right. And that's when you pro debuted.
Right. That
guy had over 200 fights. Mm-hmm. That kid was good. And Rob dropped that kid twice.
Yeah, I knocked him out.
And you knocked him out. You did an amazing job. But to wrap this video up, that was pretty much our experience for the weekend. It was an amazing weekend. Shout out to Star Boxing.
For sure, Joe DeGuardio, man. His
staff, Robin, Adam, I don't remember the other girl's name. There was so many people a part of their staff, and they were just so catering to the boxers. They're so amazing, and it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to create such a great and strong team, you know. But I told Joe myself, I said, Joe, your team, your staff is amazing. Everybody, even the commission people were pretty cool too.
Yeah,
you know, they were very strict, but they were awesome. I'm telling you, these people were absolutely awesome. So that's to wrap out our weekend. We had a great weekend. We made it home safely. Rob is doing great. You know, he's just resting and preparing for the next big move. So, you know, stay on the lookout. Rob has a lot of great things coming. Just stay tuned. A lot more fights coming up. I know you guys are anxious because a lot of you guys have seen Rob knock people out. You know his power, so you just want to see him knock people out.
Right.
But sometimes as a boxer,
like
yeah, sometimes as a boxer, you always got to be cautious, you know, because you don't want to get knocked out either, you know. Rob's used to getting knocked out by me, you know. You know, I got that power. And I got power, you know what I'm saying? But we're not going to get into that. So thank you guys for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned for more. Bye.